Hello and welcome to another edition of Turbo Delphi Demos. I'm Nick Hodges, the Delphi Product Manager, and today we're going to continue on with the Delphi language. Today I'm going to talk about sets, a structured type inside of Delphi. Sets are an interesting topic and a powerful tool that you can use in developing your applications. Okay, first we'll start off with sets. A set is a collection of values from a group of the same ordinal type. Sets don't have any particular order. They simply have a list of items that can either be in the set or not in the set. The base type for your set can only have 256 values in it. So you can only have 256 items in a given set. And thus they're very often defined with specific ranges of different ordinal types or enumerated types. So we'll take a look at this in code. That's usually the best way, as we've done before. And we'll go ahead again and create a console application so we can just very simply create a very simple application in order to show how sets work. So sets are, as I said, a type. So we're going to declare a type here of, say, T days. And the days of, say, a month would range from 1 to 31. Any given month. Some other months have shorter, whatever, but it's just for illustration purposes as always. So now we have a type here called T-day. Let's call it T-day by convention. And then we can also declare now a type called T-days, which will equal a set of T-day. So now what we have here in T-days is a set of the numbers 1 through 31. And the set can either contain some or all of those numbers, some, none, or all of those numbers, or it cannot contain some, none, or all of those numbers. In any given moment, it does one of those two things. So, for instance, we can then say that T days equals, and we'll assign a certain number of values there, 1, 3, and 5. We use these square brackets to declare a set. And inside the square brackets, we simply declare the items that we want to have inside of the set. Although, I'm sorry, we won't call it T days, we'll call it days, and we'll actually declare a variable var called days, which will be of type T days, so that we can assign a value of 1, 3, and 5 to the set type days. You can also declare variables directly. So for instance, you could declare a variable called stop light. We could say that is a set of, and then we might, a set of, and then we might declare just simply implicitly declare an enumerated type here, red, yellow, green. Save the project out, and now we can have a stoplight that actually doesn't make a lot of sense because the stoplight only has one of these things, but we can have a stoplight that gets a set value of that enumerated type as such, a single item. Now, you can do some simple math on sets. For instance, you might say days gets days plus, and we might want to add another set to it here, and then at the end of this, the set days will have 1, 3, 5, 7, and 8 in it. You can also subtract from a set. You can say days minus, and then you can subtract out a certain portion of the set as well. So now at the end of this particular line of code, the variable days will have 5, 7, and 8 inside of it. And finally, you can set any set type variable to be the empty set, and that is indicated with, well, an empty set of brackets. Okay, in addition, there's a couple of magic functions that you can use on sets. One of them is the include function. So you can include days here and then pass in a single value of say 11, or you can exclude an item from days. In this case, we'll go ahead and exclude 5 since that's in there. I don't want to confuse anything. And now that is equivalent of saying, days gets days plus 11 and days get days minus 5. And finally, another thing you can do with sets is you can call the in operator, and that will test membership of a particular value in a given set. So you can say if 4 in days, then you might say you might write line out to the trustee console. Oops. You might write line out to the console. 4 is in the set days. And then just for fun, we'll say else begin end, and then we'll copy this. We can say not in there, and then we'll do our trustee readlin, and we will run this application, and we should see, I believe, that it won't be in there. Yeah, 4 is not in the set days because this Boolean value here, this Boolean expression here, evaluated to false. Now, just a quick rundown on, say, why you would want to use these. Sets are used for not for discrete values, but for collections of things. For instance, you might declare friends, and then you can declare Tom, Dick, and Harry. And then you might want to declare, let's call it T-friends, just to keep the convention here. And you might, I had to put a type identifier there. There we go. Then we might also we'll use the convention again of calling the enumerated type a singular noun, and then T friends that are coming to my birthday party is going to equal a set of T friends. Can't type here. Now, what can happen, of course, is you could build a program, for instance, that might keep track of which friends are coming or not coming to your party, and thus you would have a variable will be at party, which would be a type T, and I'm going to hit the control space and let the IDE spell that big type out for me. And so now I can say will be at the party, and by the way, I hit again control space, and that popped up the code completion for me that helps me type out will be at the party. And then I can say when Tom calls me, and he's going to be at the party. And then later on, I could, for whatever reason, I can say will be at the party gets, and then Dick calls me up and says he'll be there. And then, oops, square brackets. And then, unfortunately, my buddy Tom calls up and he says he's not going to be at the party, so I can say exclude from will be at the party. Will be at party Tom. And all that way I can keep track of sort of who's in and who's out. And there's a lot of instances that you'll see this in the Visual Component Library, the VCL that Delphi uses to build applications, where there's a number of items that might be included into, say, the font property styling. You might include bold, you might include in italic, you might include underline in them, or you might exclude underline at one point, depending upon how you wanted your text formatted. And those are a set of properties or of enhancements to the font that you can either include or exclude in the set. Okay, well, that concludes our demo today of the structured type sets. Sets are really useful, as I've said, and hopefully you'll be able to start incorporating them into your Delphi applications soon. Thank you.